You would have thought that I would have learned my lesson by now, yet here I am, banging my face against the screen yet again. I've stumbled across another movie based on a fighting game franchise, and have decided to deal with the inflicted trauma by sharing it amongst all of you fine, fine people. It's screen time with a suppository-sized dose of Tekken. Truth be told, I initially saw this one last year and was getting a presentation for you guys ready. Then I went and abused myself by watching The King of Fighters, and forgot what it was like to feel joy for a while. Watching Tekken again after King of Fighters gave me a whole new perspective on it, seeing how the extreme low end of the terrible spectrum had just been redefined for me. But before I dive headfirst into the 6-inch deep pool that is Tekken, a little background for the unfamiliar with this particular fighting game series.
You got anything interesting? Everything I got is interesting to somebody. You know what I mean?
Tekken is a fighting game produced by Namco and released in 1994. Yep, the Pac-Man Namco. Same guys. It was inspired directly by Sega's groundbreaking Virtua Fighter, the first fighting game to use polygon-based graphics instead of conventional 2D sprites. It chose from a roster of, well, kind of creepy-looking fighters, and did battle with either computer or human-controlled opponents. Like Virtua Fighter, the characters used more realistic martial arts attacks instead of fireballs, acid spit, magic lightning farts, and whatnot. And each attack button corresponded to a fighter's limb instead of a different attack strength. That tradition lasted until Part 2, where laser-eyed demons and a boxing kangaroo joined the roster. One of the keys to the series' success, beyond the well-balanced and solid gameplay, was the downright odd-looking eclectic cast of characters. A malproportioned robot, an armored samurai, a jaguar-faced Mexican wrestler, and Paul Phoenix's hairstyle kinda stand out next to Virtua Fighter's. You know, I think I saw this guy on a registered sex offender flyer once. Anywho, Tekken also set the standard for home release goodies as well, packing in extra characters, wacky game modes like bowling and volleyball, and CG rendered endings for everybody. This added an incentive to beat the game with every character and built in a layer of replay value most fighters just didn't have. So, what do Tekken fans have to look forward to in this movie, besides the credits rolling and this chick's ass crack? Here's a hint. The producer of the Tekken game series, Katsuhiro Harada, a man who could really only stand to gain from the film being a success, called it terrible.
He's nothing.
If you saw my King of Fighters review, you'll know that I weigh what characters the writers and producers decide to build a story around quite heavily. Out of a roster of over 50 characters, they're able to squeeze in 10 as far as I can count. Just 10. It's the fastest way to alienate the fan base you desperately need in order to make the film a success. So, how'd they do on this run? Out of about 45 to 50 characters, they cram in 15. And to be fair, they did put effort into their casting. Almost every actor actually looks like the character they're supposed to be portraying.
I've seen it once before, and oh, it's something else. Good God. Cool breeze, come on in. Sunshine, come on down. You have the teardrops all count. The circus is coming to town.
These two dudes just couldn't be bothered to shave, though. Then there's Kelly Overton, portraying Christy Monteiro, originally a Brazilian capoeira clone of Eddie Gordo with boobs.
From Brazil, a student of capoeira, Christy Monteiro!
Who is now a very Caucasian mixed martial artist.
Skilled mixed martial artist trained by her grandfather. Also, easy on the eyes.
It seemed odd to me that, while they made an effort to have everyone else look true to their characters, they went ahead and changed her around so much. I can only assume that this is because the producers had already hired Lateef Crowder and cast him as Eddie Gordo, and they didn't want to have just another Brazilian person there with the same fighting style. But then again, if that was the motive, why didn't they just use a different character from the game altogether, like Julia Chang, or hey, maybe Jin's in-game girlfriend Ling Xiaoyu? If they need a love interest that badly, there's one that's already set up. Now, of course, casting somebody who looks the part is kind of pointless if the part is not worth watching to begin with.
Look at the ratings. Through the roof.
Let me explain. Here's a hastily composed chart of the most popular characters from the Tekken game series. And here's how many of them are not featured in this movie. Seems like the more popular you are, the less likely it is that you'll be in this movie. Now, if you can't find a way to put series mainstays like King, Paul Phoenix, and Forong into your story, then you need to rewrite the story. If you think you're gonna win fan approval by showcasing Sergei Dragunov, Miguel Rojo, Steve Fox, and Raven,
Why the hell are you looking at me?
then you're gonna get a nice surprise, buddy. Surprise! Everyone hates your movie. Now, I get that these characters are probably easier to cast in costume and that the extra effort of supplying the fans with what they actually want to see just isn't in the budget, but would it have been that hard to slap a kitty cat mask over this guy's head and just call him King? And of course, seeing that King has appeared in every single Tekken game, and Miguel Rojo has been in, what, that 1, 2 if you count Blood Rebellion, which I'm not. And according to certain polls, he's the least used Tekken character ever. Look, if we're throwing in characters that nobody gives a crap about, then how about you cast Bob, the obese American guy from Tekken 6? Or was Seth Rogen's schedule too busy?
Game over, continue.